Let's talk about using the Haken Continuum as an external audio processor. If you have a half-size or a full-size Continuum or the new Slim Continuum, you can send a digital signal on an AES input into the matrix and manipulate that in a number of different ways, basically sending it into any input that takes a digital audio signal. You can filter it in any one of a number of different ways. You can send it into a voice delay or any one of the delay options that are available in the matrix. You can send it into a multiplier. Lots of different things you can do, but we're going to take the simplest approach in this video. So first off, you need to get a digital signal into the matrix. And how do you do that? Go into MIDI and global settings, and you're going to need some kind of an A to D converter to send that digital input in AES format, either through the half size and full size, have XLR AES connectors. The Slim Continuum uses spdif RCA connectors. So basically, connect up your converter, bring up MIDI and global settings, and you can see if both the input and the output frequencies are set, you're likely going to be okay. Set your converter up to match what you need in the matrix. Now in this case, we're going to use the Continuum voltage converter CVC connection to play a 4-voice oscillator. And the output of that oscillator we're going to send to our converter and route it back into the matrix. And you can see through the AES input, I'm sending that through pressure on the fingerboard right out the master section, and whatever I've set my recirculator to, that will apply on the sound. So this is a simple way. If you have a eurorack setup and you don't have a DSP processor that's going to give you a nice reverb, or maybe you just want to use the Continuum's reverb in a number of different ways, you can send that signal into the Continuum and use Continuum reverb or echo or any of the options here to apply to the sound. I've also sent a little bit of that sound through a formula into a voice delay set on a very small delay, and that I'm sending out as well for a little bit of extra presence. A few other things to keep in mind. First and most important, you have to go to your audio in and set that from the off position to some value to send your signal in. Here I'm sending almost a full amount in. When I set that to on, my signal will be processed in the matrix. I'm also using a CVC, and I'm going to play up to 4 voices. So I'm going to set my bass polyphony to 4, so I never have to worry about outputting more than 4 voices to my CVC. I'll set priority to lowest so I can predict what fingers are playing what channel on the CVC, though I'm not really caring here because I'm sending them all into an oscillator that is set very much the same way for each voice. Finally, based on the kind of device that you're sending this to, you can set your CVC voltage option. And now I should be ready to play. Let's talk a little bit about the connections that I'm using here. I have my Slim Continuum in this case that I have connected to the CVC with the proper cable. You can find that information in the manual. If you have a half or a full size Continuum, you can do the same thing, just takes a little different cable. The output of the CVC is going to give me that smooth analog control over a synthesis technology E370 quad morphing wavetable oscillator. This is an absolutely amazing oscillator. It has 4 voices, which I've tuned so that I can play 4-part polyphony. I'll take the 1 volt per octave outputs, the X position on the fingerboard, that will go into the 1 volt per octave inputs on the oscillator. The Z pressure outputs of the CVC are going to connect to the VCA so that I can get smooth dynamic pressure control. I have a couple Y front to back fingerboard motion connections that are applying a little bit of modulation to the wavetables of the oscillator. This gives me a little more expression as I'm playing. The outputs of the oscillator are sent into the inputs of the VCA mixer, and the summed output of that is sent to an output module, and the analog signal is sent into my A to D converter. I connected up the spdif connections of the converter to the Continuum, and the outputs of the Continuum are sent to the speakers. And when I play, the oscillator will basically send its sound back into the Continuum where I'll apply reverb and delay per the matrix configuration we just discussed. Now, I don't have to use a eurorack oscillator, of course. I can send any analog input into the converter here and control things in a similar way. But this is nice, where I can actually play 4-part polyphony on a single eurorack oscillator. Not too many do that. So now I'm ready to play. And what would it sound like without that recirculator reverb on?